Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Review Series for the 9th of May, 1992. We bring the series back because a fan asked us to, which is always a good thing. And if you have topics you'd like to see covered, would love to do that for your benefit too. Please feel free to comment below on series you'd like to see for the future. But this is the 9th of May 1992, Smoky Mountain. Such an amazing territory because logical wrestling. What a concept. Anyway, this includes Bob Cottle and Dutch Mantel in commentary, followed by Cottle interviewing Jim Cornette, Stan Lane, Tom Pritchard at the announce area prior to the tag team title tournament final with Bobby and Jackie Fulton confronting them until Bob Armstrong gets between the two teams. Also includes the interview with Doug Furness and the announcer featuring Cottle interviewing Hector Guerrero, who speaks of Paul Orndorff injuring his neck with a pile driver some weeks ago. Cottle interviews Dixie Dynamite about facing Dirty White Boy at the Volunteer Slam in the title tournament, and also features comments from Brian Lee facing Buddy Landel in the tournament as well. Cottle also interviews Landel, who claimed that he'd defeat Lee at the Volunteer Slam and go through everybody to become the champion, and a closing interview with Armstrong, who brings out Bobby Fulton, with Fulton stating his brother Jackie is the only individual he wants to be partners with, but they'll get revenge on the Heavenly Bodies eventually. So, Robert Gibson pinning Barry Horowitz in 4:29 with a standing bulldog. I think people devalue Ricky Morton when you see Gibson on his own. Now, it's not to say that Robert Gibson doesn't have value. He does. But Robert Gibson as a single star, certainly not exactly something that the average person is going to write home about in great detail. He is a little slower and obviously not the promo that Ricky Morton was, or would ever become. Barry Horowitz, his opponent, Horowitz, who had done the winner gimmick in the GWF, also done some time in Florida as Jack Hart and other territories, but mainly known for being an enhancement talent in WWF during the 80s era. Anyway, a couple of roll-ups there. Horowitz doing the heel thing here, getting a little bit more out of things. Actually hits a nice gut-wrench suplex and gets a near fall. Horowitz looking competitive makes sense because he's been on national television, but also because he was one of the better tactical wrestlers that people undervalue, and of course trained by the Malenkos, would give him that advantage. The inverted neck snap that was primarily utilized by Kurt Hennig is also a move that Horowitz, who's wearing pink and green tights, not exactly sure on that color combination he employs, does get a backslide and uses the ropes momentarily. Gibson does fight up from underneath a little bit, and fights back, and eventually does get a victory going into the heavyweight championship tournament, and obviously going forward there, that's a good thing. And also the confrontation between the Heavenly Bodies, Pritchard and Lane, against Fulton and the Fulton brothers, Jackie and Bobby. Basically, the Bob Armstrong doesn't want the match to happen, but sanctioned the match happening right there on TV, and we see the Fultons and the Heavenly Bodies going at each other. Jim Cornette at ringside. Obviously, the match starts as a brawl. Tom Pritchard, so underrated. One of the better guys who I think, had he not had some of the challenges with the substance issues that he had, and maybe gotten some breaks earlier, I think he could have been a major star. Of course, he trained guys like a Kurt Angle, guys like a Mark Henry, and so many other valuable talents over the years, and doesn't get nearly the credit he deserves. But Pritchard takes a good bit of a drubbing, including backdrops, drop kicks, and the like. Lane bails out too. Cornette on the outside, less than happy about the early performance of his Heavenly Bodies as we move forward here. And Cornette, I think that's something that anyone who's running a management deal here. And for the record, this is the tag team championship tournament final. Um, should be looking at, and that ultimately comes in as, you know, Cornette overreacting when his team is losing, underreacting when his team is winning, but also giving it the sense that everything matters. Every move, every bump, a manager registering on the outside is the right way for it to be done. And guys today in the middle of the ring and ladies today in the middle of the ring don't even half register the moves that are done to them, and it's killing the business little by little. Anyway, so we continue to move forward through the match, and Lane, probably the more experienced, certainly on a national level. Cornette nervous on the outside. There are some double teams, and Cornette does not like having the camera up in his face immediately. To think that he's running the promotion and getting everything ready for this. Obviously, there's some brawling on the floor. One of the Fantastics gets sent into the post, and they hold on to the figure four until Robert Gibson and Brian Lee make the save on this, and obviously the Heavenly Bodies are in control. They lay out their opponents really aggressively throughout, and Bob Cottle also mid-match is able to hype the upcoming house show tour. Back and forth, I'd say the Heavenly Bodies were in control of the majority of the match, although Lane misses a shot in the corner with a shoulder tackle, doesn't get what he wants on it. They are rolling around. Cornette rolls into the ring, nails, I believe it's Jackie Fulton with the tennis racket, and they get the victory. Several brawling bits there with the Heavenly Bodies. Heavenly Bodies continue the figure four and do a lot of damage to the leg of Jackie Fulton. Fulton probably going on tour Japan or somewhere else and couldn't be around for a while. Powerlifter and pro wrestler Doug Furnace talks about being in Smoky Mountain, and obviously he's not a talker. Majority of Furnace's major success in the States, I guess, would be ECW for the little while he was there, but also manages to do really well for himself in Japan, All Japan primarily. Anyway, gets in the ring with Joe Kazana and does amateur style takedowns, basic style stuff, and manages to do everything he possibly can. Suplexes and the like, and the Huracan Rana and other basic things there. Then we see, obviously with Furnace getting the win, then we see Hector Guerrero come out complaining about or commiserating about the need to ban the pile driver of Paul Orndorff. Orndorff is basically saying this is discriminatory, basically saying this is unfair to him, even though he laid Hector Guerrero and has laid out others with that pile driver in the few short weeks, 2 or 3 months, 4 months maybe, that Smoky Mountain Television has been on the air. And obviously more damage for Guerrero probably coming in the weeks to come. We'll continue to check that out. But then we see a guy like Tony Anthony, the Dirty White Boy, who eventually, later in Smoky Mountain, does become the champion. But here, he's getting ready for the tournament. Ben Jordan, who actually, at least in my estimation, was a lot better than he was given a chance to be here, bumping around, doing some good stuff. But anyway, Dirty White Boy Tony Anthony manages to go after his opponent pretty aggressively, hit locks, body slams, and eventually the, I guess you'd say, bucksnort choke slam, I think is the way we would go with it, managing to get ready for the tournament, and pretty major guy going into that tournament. Dixie Dynamite says he's proud to be in Smoky Mountain, proud to be a member of the Smoky Mountain roster, and proud to be a alternate in the championship tournament, or even involved in the championship tournament. Bob Cottle supports the interview there, and Dixie Dynamite, of course. Scott Armstrong of the Armstrong family, Nature Boy Buddy Landell up next, and he is probably the, I would guess at the time, other than Jim Cornette, and he doesn't count because he's just a, well, I hate to say just a manager, but reality. Very few people are going to buy a ticket just to see a manager, but Buddy Landell, probably the biggest heel they have, is here and manages to uh, take on pinning Danny Davis 426 with a handful of tights. Rolling through Davis with the O'Connell roll. Buddy Landel, the biggest heel they have at the time, and some years removed from his Crockett run and his CWA Memphis run, but still able to get under the skin of just about anybody who's willing to listen and those who aren't. Um, Landell, a lot of people would have thought would have been the champion coming out of the Volunteer Slam, but that's obviously not to be, as we will learn in the weeks to come here. But real basic stuff, nothing necessarily you got to write home about, but logical wrestling. Danny Davis, for his size, proving that a small wrestler doesn't need to be, you know, a height challenged individual who can't get on a ride at Disney World like a guy like Marco Stunt. Instead, having technical wrestling ability and driving knees into the exposed wrist lock of a Danny Davis. Obviously, Landell using power and cheating ability wherever he can. Davis trying to get a submission on something as simple and basic as a wrist lock doesn't get it. Buddy Landell getting the kind of roll with the handful of tights and getting the victory, promising to win the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Championship going forward. And we close the program with the Heavenly Bodies. Basically, the Heavenly Bodies saying they're the most undefeatable tag team in all the world, and they are the tag team champions. Stan Lane even wearing shades. Future so bright, gotta wear shades even if we're indoors here in Smoky Mountain. So we'll move forward to the next, but overall we'll be back with more right after this.